What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. I want to start making trainings because I feel like I could help some people with some perspectives or some tips or just advice that might be helpful on your journey. This is actually my first one, so please forgive me if it's not perfect, but I just hope at least one person watches this to the end and gets a lot of value from it. And these are things you probably kind of already know, but I just want to stress them. So hopefully maybe they stick with you. So watch to the end. Not going to be super long. Just want to kind of go through these things that I've assembled as basically the 5 long-term habits and traits of fit people. And so let's go through them. Number one is weighing yourself daily. Now, I know this is controversial, and if you're watching this, you might be someone who doesn't have a great relationship with the scale. And I get that it's not an easy thing, whether you've had like an eating disorder in the past or you're just obsessed on weight loss journeys. It's not something that you might like to see, but it is a statistical fact. They've done studies on this. People who weigh themselves more keep the weight off. And this is what I'm really talking about, keeping the weight off, not necessarily getting the weight off, but keeping it off. Like there's some of you where you might weigh only a few times a week or once a week. That's okay. You need to be doing it at least once a week weighing because you need to make sure you're trending in the right direction. If you don't weigh yourself, you don't really know if you're making much progress. Yeah, there's other things like, the amount of inches you're losing and how you're feeling, but it is a weight loss journey for a reason. We're trying to make the number go down. It's not the only thing, but it is something that when we weigh more, we're more aware of the fluctuations and how our body responds. And so it's something long term. People who stay fit, I've talked to people, I've seen studies, people weigh themselves. I weigh myself every single day because I want to see how my body responds. I go out and have Mexican, I have a Chipotle bowl, I go to Chick-fil-A. I want to know how my body responds. If I don't weigh myself, I'm actually a little bit afraid because then I have no idea what's going on. And I've done that before where I stop weighing myself and then I'll like weigh 5 days later. And almost every single time the weight goes up because I'm not aware of it. And when I'm not looking at it every single day, the scale just wants to go up because it's so easy to overeat because you don't really see a number. And, 5 pounds on a scale isn't that much. So you might feel like you look the same, but then you'll check the scale and it goes up. So that's not really ideal. Point is, long term, I recommend weighing yourself daily. And think about it. I mean, if you're at your goal weight, you're going to have no problem weighing yourself daily. It's just kind of on the way down to your goal. You don't have to do it every day, but I do think doing it a few times a week minimum is good. You could do it once a week, but I would say 2 to 3 minimum. I like to see people do it every day, but definitely when you get to your goal, you probably should be weighing every day. Number two is exercising regularly. I mean, this is a very simple, obvious thing, but I think that you need to be moving your body, getting your steps in, and just exerting energy because it's hard over a lifetime, over a decade to keep the weight off if you're not moving your body. If you're just very sedentary, it's going to be hard to eat clean enough to keep the weight off. So whether that's taking a walk, biking, doing tennis, doing pickleball, I think the people that keep off the weight they are moving their body consistently. So that doesn't have to mean a walk on the around the block or a treadmill. It can mean an exercise class. It can mean, like I said, taking a bike ride. It can be hiking, but I think that people who keep it off, not only do they exercise regularly in terms of cardio, they want to do it. And I'm going to get into that here soon. Number three is doing weight training. I think the fittest version of yourself is somebody who lifts weights. You can definitely just eat healthy and be a cardio bunny, which means you're just doing cardio all the time. But the problem is as you age, atrophy is a real thing, meaning muscle loss. You're going to lose muscle over the age of 40. You lose a decent amount of muscle every single year. So doing weight training mitigates that. It helps you stay strong. It helps you, preserve your lower back strength, take in the groceries, pick up the grandkids, pick up the kids, like whatever it is. It just helps you stay strong. Not only that, muscle looks good. Muscle is sexy. It looks good. We want to make sure that we're, you know, hitting hitting the weights. That doesn't mean going to a gym. You can definitely do workouts from home, but I do think that doing weight training is one of the best things you can do for not only strength, it makes you look good, it makes you feel good, and the more muscle we have, typically, the healthier we are. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that helps us live a long life and a good life is having a lot of muscle because muscle equals strength And strength is a really important thing as you age, like I talked about, to be able to just do all the things you want to do in life, travel and just do anything active. You have to have muscle. Like you could be thin, but you're gonna hurt more. You're gonna be more sore. You want to get almost as much muscle as you can. It's hard to have too much muscle, especially as a woman. A lot of women say, I don't want to be a bodybuilder. It's like the chance of that is it's almost impossible. I mean, you have to put in half a decade to have even close to having too much muscle. But even then, it's really hard. So honestly, most of you watching this should try to build as much muscle as possible, as much strength as possible, lifting basically full body 3 times a week, doing the compound movements like overhead presses, squats, lunges, rows, bicep curls. You know, you can do other stuff, but those are really the main ones. If you want specific advice on that, I can give it to you. But you want to be lifting 3 times a week, full body, 8 to 12 reps. Once 12 reps becomes easy, increasing the weight until you can do about 8 reps, and then just following that cycle every single exercise and getting as strong as you possibly can, because it's almost impossible to be too strong because it's just difficult. I mean, I'm on that process now. I mean, I'm strong, but I'd love to be stronger. But do weight training long term. It helps you look your best, feel your best. And then number 4 is just being positively motivated. So this is a big one. I think that a lot of people who are trying to lose weight or trying to be fit, they're not motivated positively. They're negatively motivated, which means that they hate how they look and hate how they feel, and they want to not feel like that. But the people who stay fit, they want to go to the gym because it gets them a high. They want to take a run because of the runner's high and it makes them feel so good and it gets the endorphins flowing. And they want to wear their outfit that their butt looks amazing in, and they want to go to the gym, and it's a positive motivation. They want to eat the salad and the chicken and the rice and the protein shake because they want to feel good. They value having mental clarity and having energy and just feeling good and not having those highs and lows. So people who stay fit think about what it'll do for them positively rather than what they don't want. They think about what they want, what they don't want. And I'm going to go into the opposite of these habits here in a second. So you got to think of like someone who's fit wants to wake up and take the walk and do the workout and eat healthy because it genuinely serves them and makes them feel good. And that is so much easier to stick to in the long run when you are having a positive motivation. You are running towards something rather than running away from something. And I think a lot of people are running away from something when we should be running towards our best version of ourselves. That's a lot more motivating and empowering. The fifth one is having a healthy environment. This is absolutely crucial. People who are fit don't have chips in the pantry. People who are fit, they have a good environment around them. They go to the store and they buy the healthy food. And so when they're hungry at 9 p.m. and they're tempted, they open up their fridge and there's nothing to eat but kale and lean protein and healthy stuff. And if they literally wanted to cheat, they'd have to go in their car and get something at the store. I mean, let's be honest, with Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that stuff nowadays, it's easier than ever to give into the sin, give into the temptation. That stuff's not bad in moderation. I'm not trying to paint pizza or anything like that in a bad light, but it's really hard to eat that stuff consistently and lose weight. So the people that are fit, they have a healthy environment around them and they don't have the crap in the house. I mean, that's the biggest thing. They don't have the junk food and the chocolate and the cake and the candy in the house, because if it is sitting there in the house, what's going to happen when you have a long shift or you're going through something in life where you're emotional and those cookies are right there? What, are you just going to walk by them? No, you're going to eat them and then you're not going to be fit. Like, you're not going to make progress. But the people who are fit, they make it easier on themselves by setting up their environment in a way where there's not a lot of temptation. And so when there's not a lot of temptation, it's just easy to make the right choices for a decade, 2 decades, the rest of your life. But if you have those choices bad, sorry, this is my first time doing the training. Excuse it not being perfect. But if you don't have the right things in the house and you have the temptations and the cookies and the treats, it's going to be really hard to stick to that consistently. You might be able to do it for a little bit of time, but not a long time. Now, here's something that must be said that goes along with a healthy environment. That doesn't just mean your choices, it means the people in your life. So if you have friends who always want to go out and drink and get hungover, it's going to be hard to say no to those people. If you have a spouse that's not supportive and is always eating the junk food and tempting you with the takeout, it's going to be really hard to say no to that for a lifetime. I'm not saying get a new spouse. I'm not saying get new friends, but I will say the environment you're in does influence you. So that's something to think about. Like maybe hanging out with more people who are supportive of you would be a good thing, or having a tough conversation with a spouse and say, hey, like I'm trying to get to my goals. I need that support, because if you throwing some crumble cookie in my face, I ain't gonna say no to that. Like who's gonna say no to that? It's like you need someone who's gonna say, okay, like let's eat the celery sticks plain. Just kidding. You you want someone who is going to not tempt you and be supportive, obviously. Now, the opposite of all these things is what you don't want to do and what most people are doing. And the reason they're stuck and struggling year after year is because they do the opposite of the things I just said you should do to stay fit for a lifetime. Number one is you rarely weighing. When you don't weigh yourself, you have no idea where you're at. You can only tell by your clothes in the mirror, which can sometimes be deceptive. And the biggest thing I see when I talk to nurses who are like thinking about the program is like, I don't weigh that much. And then they're like, I just weighed myself. I gained 25 pounds. It's like that wouldn't have probably happened if you would have weighed yourself every day and had to look at that number. And I know that's a tough thing to do, but if you weighed yourself, you wouldn't have let it get 25 pounds up, because you would have stopped yourself. So rarely weighing is not a good thing. Not exercising often. There's a lot of people that say, I don't have time, I don't have energy. I just come home, plop, go to bed. It's like, I get that. I empathize with how busy and stressed and strained you are as a night shift nurse, but not exercising is not serving you, and then you're not burning a lot of calories, and then it's very easy to gain weight or stay the same weight because you're not expending any extra energy, so it's tough to be in a calorie deficit. Number three is avoiding weight training. It's not a good thing to do to be fit, because it's almost impossible to be fit without doing weights. I mean, you can have that cardio look, you can have that skinny fat look, but you need to do some type of weight training to actually have the body that you want to. Now, you could do at-home workouts, body weight workouts. That's fine. You can get really strong and have a good body like that. But weight training is the best way to get a good body. And so if you're avoiding that, you're not going to be as strong as you could, and you're going to have more of that skinny fat look, and you're going to have a higher body fat percentage. It's not ideal. So you don't want to avoid weight training. Even if you don't want to go to the gym, consider a home gym. There's a lot of body weight workouts you can do, or getting minimal weights from home. You'd be surprised at the results you can get with not having to go to a gym. And then a lot of people who are struggling to get and stay fit, they're negatively motivated. They're running away from something. They are being like, I feel like crap. I don't look good. I hate myself. And so that's their motivation to like take action and to be healthier. Do you see how that kind of is self-deprecating and not necessarily good vibes? And then that negative mindset and poor self-esteem is not going to help you take action consistently. It might help you take action a few days of the week, but then when you are thinking negatively, it's so easy to be like, well, I'm a piece of shit. Like, I suck. I've struggled for 10 years. I'm just getting real here. This is what we tell ourselves. We tell ourselves, I'm a piece of shit. I suck. Like, it's already been a shitty day. Like, let's eat some freaking Dominoes or whatever the heck. And so when you're in that negative mindset and you're negatively motivated, it is just so easy it's so hard to make the right choice consistently, because you're not chasing after a better life. You're just trying to avoid a shitty one. Mic drop. That was deep. You're not chasing after a better life. You're just trying to avoid and get away from a shitty one. And that is hard to do consistently long term. If you want to be fit for the rest of your life, you've got to think, I can't wait to take the walk. I can't wait to do the workout. I can't wait to eat healthy because I feel good and it nourishes my body. And I want to look good and feel good and be my best self. You have to have that type of positive energy, not the negative energy. If I feel like shit, I'm a piece of shit. Like, you don't want that. It's going to be really hard to be consistent. And I'm just being real here. And then a bad, unsupportive environment, a spouse that brings home the takeout who is struggling themselves and then can reel you in with their bad mindset and habits, and then just having junk food and crap around the house. Like, I know we have kids to feed, but I'm just like, I don't have kids myself, but if I ever become a parent, I feel like I would personally just have good choices because I want to ingrain that in my kids, in my future kids, if that's going to be a thing for me. But I would want to give them the healthy stuff because I know growing up, my parents didn't do that. They had bags of chips and chicken fingers and all types of bad stuff. And I still to this day kind of struggle with eating healthy. Like, I'm fit and I go to the gym and I'm trying to do the best I can and I'm a good example. However, because of my upbringing, feel like I've just always been more inclined to eat the stuff I shouldn't be eating like on a regular basis. And I've had issues with, just eating too much and eating the wrong stuff. And I feel like a lot of it's because of my upbringing. So I'm just saying the best thing to do is to have a good environment and not have the crap in the house when you go to the grocery store. Buy the right foods, walk by the chips and the cookies and say, literally demonize the food. Say that stuff is not serving me. It's not good for me. It's shit. Like, literally, it's not good for you. In moderation, tracked, fine. But if that stuff is consistently in your life, it is so hard to be fit because it's a slippery slope. It's so hard to not overdo those foods. It's so hard. When you eat lean protein, rice, potatoes, fruits, veggies, protein shakes, Greek yogurt, eggs, it's hard to overdo that. Like, it's literally hard to overeat healthy food, and it's really hard to stop yourself when it comes to eating unhealthy food. It's so easy to eat way too much. And so why even put yourself in that situation where you have to practice willpower? Just don't buy it. Like, if you're going to buy it, just buy enough for that day. If you have it sitting there all week, you're not going to be consistent. Anyway, this was all over the place. I hope that one of you got some value from it. Consider these 5 habits long term. Think about them, really dwell on them. You don't have to do all these things right now, although I do think these 5 things are the best things you could be doing right now. If you're watching this, you're like, we agreed on weighing once a week. That's fine. Keep that. That's enough to get there. However, I do think weighing daily is ideal. I do. Don't get attached to the number and the fluctuations. The number is going to fluctuate. That's fine. I tell my clients, I say, just view it as a tool for awareness and seeing how your body responds. But don't get too attached. I know that's hard to do, but just try to disassociate yourself from those emotions and just try to see how your body responds. So these are the 5 best things you could be doing. There's probably more things, but these are things that are definitely proven to get the weight off, keep the weight off. And like I said, if you're not weighing daily, that's okay. You don't have to. I'm just saying it is something that I do think is optimal. It's the best thing you could be doing. So we're going to wrap this up now. I hope one of you got some value from it. How do you stop this thing? Have a good Friday, everyone.